as we round out the year, I figured it'd be fun to share my top 10 list of films for the year of 2024. Now, I'm not a film critic, which means I don't watch movies professionally. I don't get, paid to review them, things like that. So this is just based off what I'd seen. Now, I am a cinephile, so I'd seen quite a lot of movies, but I hadn't seen every single movie, right? So, for example, Nosferatu is a movie that I have yet to see. So who knows? Maybe it could have ended up on my top 10 if I'd seen it, but I'm just going purely off of like movies that came out in 2024 that I saw in 2024, okay? And of course, I invite you to, join the discussion. Let me know your top 10 movies, where you agree with me, where you disagree. Ultimately, I'm someone who loves movies and I want to champion them, right? So, this is just my personal list. It doesn't have to necessarily, it's not like these are the best movies and if you disagree, you're wrong type of thing, right? It's all a personal flavor and it's meant to be fun and ultimately champion good movies. And some of my choices kind of reflect that to help boost some movies that I thought were really good that are on my top 10, but, might not be as widely known, right? So, starting off at number 10, Your Monster. So this is a movie starring Melissa Barrera, and it's about her as an actress, like a theater actress, and, she's kind of going through certain hardships. She's got dumped by her boyfriend, and, she goes back to her mom's house and things like that, which is her childhood home. And lo and behold, as she's going through this hardship, the old monster under the bed kind of comes out and is like, hey, listen, you got to get out of here because, like, I've been living here well and, I don't want you, right? And it's kind of like this odd, quirky rom-com about a monster from under the bed and, this woman who's going through a lot. And it goes in fun and weird directions. I just personally loved it. Like it was filled with so much energy and stuff like that, that it just, I don't know, it just resonated. And in a year, where, it was kind of a heavy year, I really appreciated kind of the emotional weight for the main character and then having this outlet and kind of, as a movie, it was like more of an upbeat movie, right? With its quirkiness. So that's why I loved Your Monster. Next up, number 9, Immaculate. So this is the Sydney Sweeney movie where she plays a nun. And it's a horror movie where, she ends up being, as the title implies, impregnated, right? It's this immaculate conception. It's like, okay, what the hell is happening? And I love and appreciate it because it's not like jump scare horror. It's more psychological and at times somewhat like gruesome horror. And what I appreciate is that Sydney Sweeney really goes for it. I think she really showcases her acting chops in this one in ways that, for people who may have had doubts about her talents, I think this is her talents on full display. The ending is absolutely crazy in the best possible way. So that is why I recommend Immaculate. Number 8, Memoir of a Snail. There's been tons of great animated movies that came out this year. A lot of them, I absolutely loved. But Memoir of a Snail is something different. It's a stop motion animation. And as the title implies, the reason why it's called Memoir of a Snail is because there's this woman who kept snails from a young age, and she's, kind of recounting her life once again to that snail, and it brings it full circle by the end in a very interesting way. But anyway, it's not actually about the snail. It ends up being about this woman and her crazy sort of life where Her and her brother become orphaned, and then they end up getting split up into two different families, and how they grow and try to maintain that family tie even though they're separated. And it's one of the most sweetest and crudest movies I have ever seen, and yet it works so brilliantly. I was really amazed at what it achieved and how it made me feel, and again, just some of the sheer audacity to go for certain things in the way that it does. So Memoir of a Snail just left me with such an impression, right? So that's why it is on my list as number 8. Next up, we have Furiosa. So Furiosa, I know this might be blasphemous, but Mad Max Fury Road, I didn't love as much as everybody else. And what's funny about this movie, right, it being a prequel, it actually made me appreciate Mad Max Fury Road. I think it elevates that movie, right? Like that's what's so crazy about it. But even without that movie, this in and of itself, I think, works well. You don't, necessarily need all the backstory, of the Mad Max world to appreciate this movie. I think you can go into it fresh and, understand that it's a dystopian thing, and the life of this woman trying to survive. And it is a big saga. So many wonderful sequences, and Anya Taylor-Joy delivers as what's supposed to be a younger version of Charlize Theron, right? And she's a phenomenal actress, so you kind of expect that from her. But there is a large portion of this movie at the beginning where Furiosa is younger than Anya Taylor-Joy, and it's played by this younger actress. And I'm talking like 45 minutes worth, and this young actress is phenomenal, right? Like, it is all seamless. You buy that this is Furiosa at a younger age, then, here's her now older, coming into adulthood, and then, even her, like, eventually being Charlize Theron, like, it all starts, you buy it all. Like, it's so wonderful, and the story is so compelling in all the right ways, and it also avoids, the sort of stereotypical of, like, here's how this person got their hat, or here's how this person got their name. Like, it's all these different things, and the way in which, because Furiosa ends up without a hand, and there's moments in the movie that happen, and you're like, okay, this is definitely the moment. And it manages to subvert those expectations, right? So all the things that, like, it gives meaning to the various things rather than just like, see, look, this is how this person got this, and isn't that interesting, right? It's so much more dramatic than that, and that's what I appreciate. Very underrated movie. I'm sad that it didn't perform as what I think it should have, so that's why I wanted to highlight it. Number 7, Furiosa. Number 6, Ghostlight. This is a movie that's an indie movie. It's kind of getting some award love in the indie space, right? So it's nominated for Indie Spirit Award, and it was nominated for Best Actor in the Gotham Awards and things like that. But this is about a construction worker dad who ends up joining this local theater to essentially work through his feelings. And, through that, it showcases the power of art, and it's really well done. It grafts onto Romeo and Juliet, both in terms of the play that they are performing, but, in terms of the more ingrained he gets with that play, more he starts to understand it. He sees the parallels to his life, and that has an emotional weight to it. And, the actors, while not like known actors, really shine in this and give it that emotional weight. And it's just a gem of a movie. It premiered at Sundance. It had a great festival run. It had a theatrical run. So it's just a truly, truly wonderful movie that I love championing. So that's called Ghostlight. Next up, we have A Young Woman and the Sea. So this is a movie starring Daisy Ridley, and this came out earlier in the year, and it's a true life story, right? It's based off of real life events about the first woman to swim across the English Channel, and it's one of those movies, you know, like you know where it's headed, right? It's not like the ending is going to be this unexpected thing. You know where it's headed. But it's one of those feel-good sports type movies that we just don't see a lot of, right? We used to get those back in the day quite a lot more. You know, and even in the vein of, like, let's say like a Sandlot or Angels in the Outfield, like I even count those as part of that. But, like, you know, you can go to obviously Rocky and stuff like that. Like, just these movies that made us feel good through someone achieving something through sport, right? Using sport as the metaphor for life and achievement. And this just was one of those sweet movies where there was a family dynamic, right? Because she had a sister that also swam, but the sister didn't, you know, want to push herself as much as, you know, the main character did and so forth. So, and obviously her being a woman, and this was, you know, in the early part of the 1900s. So it's like, there's all these, like, dynamics of, you know, the patriarchy and other stuff. So it's, I don't know, I just really, really loved this movie and walked away from it being amazed, you know, at the human spirit, right? And that's what you want out of this movie. Number 4, we have Anora. So this is a movie that is on many people's top 10 list. Some people say it's a front runner for the Oscars. You know, I don't know. All I know is that this is a Sean Baker movie, and it's a wonderful movie, right? So Mikey Madison plays the titular character Anora, and she is, you know, a stripper that ends up being hired by this Russian oligarch's son to essentially, you know, be his escort for a week. And then there's kind of a romance that develops, and of course that romance is not embraced by the Russian's parents. And from there, kind of hilarity ensues. Like, it ends up being one of the funniest movies that I've seen. And yet, when it, at its core, there's, you know, a deep undercurrent that, you know, kind of hits you, and it has, like, this, you know, very insane point. Now, I would have ranked it higher. I felt it was just a little bit too long. I think if it was compressed just a little bit, it would have been better served. But overall, it is a very, very strong movie with strong performances by everybody. And, you know, certainly, you know, I can't call it like an out-and-out comedy. But at the same time, I don't remember laughing that much in a lot of movies this year. So Anora is my number 4. Number 3. So this is a movie starring Aubrey Plaza, and it is called My Old Ass. Yes, that is the title. And what this movie is about is essentially this girl heading into womanhood. You know, she's going off to college, right? She's like 18, and she's in her last summer before college. Of all things, her parents essentially own a cranberry farm, right? So, like, she's grown up on a cranberry farm, which is wild and insane. And one day on her birthday of that summer, she hallucinates through drugs and meets her older self, played by Aubrey Plaza. And, Aubrey Plaza gives her, do's and don'ts essentially. So it's got a bit of like this fantastical element, but really at its core, it's a coming of age story that is just so sweet. And you think, or at least I thought it was going a certain direction. And when you get to the end, it's just such a beautiful story of like life as the antagonist rather than, any particular person or whatever. And I really appreciated that, how nuanced it was and what it managed to do, while also being extremely funny, right? So My Old Ass is my number 3 pick of the year. Then we get to number 2. So I still don't love the title. It's called September 5, but as a movie, I loved it. So September 5 is about the 1972 Munich Olympics, right? The hostage situation, the very infamous hostage situation. And while there have been many movies about that, this one chooses the perspective of the ABC Sports News crew that was covering the Olympics at the time. And they find themselves in the middle of this, and in fact, in an insanely wonderful position to be able to cover this world event live. Now, of course, they are sports journalists, not, hard-hitting news journalists. And so there's a lot that they're contending with, the do's and don'ts. And even in the best circumstances, no one's ever done anything like this. Like, this hadn't been done. And so there's not really like a set protocol. And so not only are they not experienced overall, but no one's also done this. So, they're kind of having to bump their heads. And I think this is a wonderful exploration of media and politics and their intersection. And I think this movie really challenges its audience to think, right? It is a very fast-moving, almost real-time type of thriller. But the reviews that I've seen from, people, I think does a disservice, because I don't think it's a simple message. I think it's a very nuanced message. It's a movie that forces you to think, because the characters are very much weighed down by it and don't have simple solutions, right? And they don't, they question themselves constantly. And so I really respect that sort of, true to life hardship of it all. So it's left me really contemplating about a lot of stuff, right? And as I said, that movie, that media and politics, that intersection, especially in this day and age, and if it was as hard back then, imagine like with the fast paced and kind of, all the potential falsities and stuff like that we face today. So it's a lot to consider for sure. Finally, my number 1 movie of the year is, I'm going to pause real quick because I'm going to give some honorable mentions, okay? So before I give my number 1 movie, some honorable mentions, I'm just going to list them. Heretic, Speak No Evil, I thought was really wonderful. So those are 2 that I thought were really, really well made. But getting back to this, A Real Unknown. Also, I really liked A Real Unknown. But for me, I don't know. I just preferred these movies a little bit better overall. So, but my number 1 pick is Conclave. This movie, I was hesitant to see. I don't know. I was kind of not interested in seeing it. It was like, okay, it's about the church and it's about elections, and it came out at around a time when we were dealing with our elections, and I don't know. I felt it would be too didactic with its messaging. So I was very opposed to seeing this. But my God, when I finally saw it, I was like, how wrong have I been? This movie rocks on so many different levels. Like the performances are phenomenal. It's so well done in terms of its shooting, its editing. And then obviously like the story just soars. Talk about a movie that takes turns left and right. And the ending is so inevitable and yet so unexpected. Like I did not know it was going there. And I've showed this movie now to a few people, and, you know, everyone kind of presumes at the 3/4 mark that, okay, I know where this is headed now, right? No, they don't. No, they don't. And they love the kind of rug pull that happens, and yet it's not. It's also so not unexpected, right? Like, it's the only thing that could have happened, and more so, its message of what that means is, I think, wonderful, needed, and truly just wonderful. So I don't know. I can't speak highly enough about this movie. I think it soars on every level, you know. Like, by God, it is quite an ensemble cast, you know, but just, I can't say enough good things about Conclave. So that's my number one. That concludes my top 10 list of movies for the year. As I said, I encourage you to give your opinion, feedback about my list. You know, what do you agree with? What do you disagree with? And, you know, listen, we can be respectful. I'm not saying like this is the list. I'm saying this is my list, okay? And I'd like to hear your list, you know? So comment down below and let's hear it. And thank you as always. I hope you continue to enjoy my reviews. Keep going to the movies. You know, after all, that's what this is all about. And yeah, I look forward to 2025. There's a lot of fun movies coming out that we know of. And as always, I look for the surprises along the way that weren't on my radar or anyone else's radar. So yeah, thank you.